Are you getting ready to buy or sell a house and curious about what to expect during the inspection of the sewer or main line? Well, that's what we'll be covering today. More right after this. Hi, I'm Charlotte from the Volsch team. Welcome back. I'm a real estate broker, a certified probate specialist and trust advisor in the many cities of the Inland Empire, including Redlands, Loma Linda, Fontana, San Bernardino, Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario, and the high desert. And every week I post tips, insights, and updates to help you gain clarity. Now, every home has some type of a main sewer line. And if a house has a septic tank, it's a little bit different than what I'm going to be talking about today. But in general, we're going to be talking about sewer lines that go from the house all the way to the street to the public utility. Now, some people refer to it as the main line. This is the plumbing that channels all the wastewater from the house, from the toilet, from the sink, from the dishwasher, from the wash machine, from the shower. All your wastewater goes through that line and out to the public utility. Now, the public utility where the sewer, the giant sewer line comes through, is typically halfway from the curb into the street, and it's way down deep. Residential main lines are usually made of plastic PVC or ABS. They could be cast iron, and sometimes they're clay pipe. And the inspection of that main line is typically done by the buyers. They hire a plumber or someone who's an expert at scoping the main line to determine if everything is okay, and if it's got some damage, it may need repairs or replaced. Now, the person who is the expert in scoping these main lines will bring some machinery in the form of a scope line. It has a camera, and the camera is at the end of the line, what they call a snake. It's a long line and the camera's at the end. And what they do is they put it down into the main line somehow. Typically, there's a clean out where they can open that up. They can access that main line. And sometimes, worst case, they have to take the toilet off and put the snake down through the hole below the toilet. Now, they don't actually go down through the toilet itself. They take and pull it off of its seal and set it aside and go down through that opening. And then they can scope through. Now, this snake with a camera on the end, it actually goes through the whole main line, and they're taking a video at the same time. Now, my experience is that the person that's doing the scoping is typically talking about what they're seeing and discovering as they go through certain parts of the piping. Now, as I said, the buyer usually takes care of this cost, this inspection, and they pay for someone to come out. And prudent buyers and good real estate agents that are being prudent for their buyers will pay about $200 to have this scoping done. Now, a few years back, a buyer chose to do a mainline scope of a property that was probably built around 1940-ish, and it was discovered that there had been clay pipe. And at some point, there must have been trees in the front yard of the property. There weren't now. And actually, the roots had intruded and scooted the pipes so they weren't lined up perfectly. So this turned into a situation where the buyer asked the seller to have that either repaired or replaced. Now, the less expensive way to do it was that we hired someone to come in and replace portions of that clay pipe. And the transaction went through as planned. Now, regardless of the type of material that's used for that main line, tree roots, they are amazing. They can get in the teeny tiniest little place. And as they get in there, the water out of the roots gets bigger and bigger, and that's what causes the damage to the main line. They also can clog up a main line because the roots get in there and they just keep growing and weaving together, and the next thing you know, you've got a big clog. The reason they do this is roots are searching for water. And what's in your main line? All your wastewater. Now, really quick before we share about the typical costs in those repairs, I just wanted to give a quick shout out, thank you to those of you who have already just subscribed. I'm so delighted you're part of my community. Remember to click that like button and share. You may have a friend that's going through an escrow right now that may never have thought of having the main line checked out. And those of you that haven't subscribed, now's a great time to hit that button and ring the bell so you're notified of the next video. Now the cost to replace a main line is in the expensive category. It can be typically between $5,000 and $10,000. And if a buyer should discover that there's a problem with that main line that they can prove they're going to be requesting that it be corrected as part of the request for repair, in most cases, the repairs are somewhere around $3,000. Now remember the story I told you about the clay pipe? It was around $3,000 that the seller had to pay to have that main line be functional for the new buyer. They didn't have to replace the whole thing, they just realigned. Now once the inspection has been completed, the inspector will give the buyers and sometimes the agents either a flash drive or an SD card that will have the entire inspection on that little device. And that way you can watch it at your leisure and at a later time, see where the problems are, and that's how you can present to the seller what the issues are and that there's something wrong that needs to be corrected. And if the buyer and the buyer's agent and the seller's representative is there at the time of the inspection, then the inspector will explain what they're recording on that camera during the actual inspection time. Again, you have the flash drive or the SD card for later to be able to look through and really verify what's wrong with the main line. See you next time.